This kind of praise and worship and do to a seminar like this on the Holy Spirit, okay? Because I walked in 20 years ago to a SCRC conference, and I saw this kind of praise and worship going on, and I asked myself, is this Catholic? My biggest concern was, is this Catholic? I'm a cradle Catholic. I've practiced my faith all my life. And I have never seen any kind of praise or worship like this. And, you know, I walked in, it was Father Pharisee's workshop, and he was laying hands, and we were seeing the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And I had a very powerful conversion in Lourdes through an experience I had with Jesus. But this was so foreign to me, and I had a huge level of fear, okay? So I looked in the brochure right away to see, who is this Father Pharisee? Where did he come from? Is he even Catholic? Maybe he's Protestant, you know? I didn't know anything about it, but this felt to me like it was Protestant. And so I was very concerned. And so I looked and I saw, oh my gosh, Father Pharisee's from the Pontifical University in Rome. He was a Jesuit, but still he was from the Pontifical University in Rome. And so I thought, you know, that's pretty credible. Well, you know, I was docile to the Holy Spirit that day. And I received gifts of the Spirit that day. But in my heart, I was still so unsettled. And I share this with you because this may be your experience this evening, but I guarantee you, if you hang in there and you show up and you continue this whole weekend through tomorrow night, that you will receive blessings that you can't even imagine. Because that same seminar had the testimony of Father Raniero Cantalamessa. How many of you know who he is? The preacher to the papal household, okay? And so, you know, this question that I had, is this Catholic? Well, when I heard the papal preacher giving his testimony, and you know what really captured me is that he said, I came to the United States, and a group of women said, oh, Father Cantalamessa, I'd like to take you to a conference because we want you to be prayed over for baptism in the Holy Spirit. And he said, and this is his testimony, I went to the Lord and I prayed, and he said, Lord, I am a Catholic priest. I have received the sacrament of holy orders, and I am a Franciscan. I have my Father Francis. What do I need to go with these lay women to a conference to be prayed over for some gift of the Holy Spirit? I already have all this. I'm a priest. And the Lord said to him, think of it. I went down to the River Jordan, and John the Baptist, a layman, laid hands on me and baptized me in the Holy Spirit. And he said he knew that he was to go. And he went. And he said, there was an imposition of hands, which you will receive at the end of this seminar. And he said that his life changed so dramatically that the papal preacher said, I say that my birthday is that day when I was baptized in the Holy Spirit. He doesn't celebrate the day that he was born naturally of his mother. He celebrates annually the day he was baptized in the Holy Spirit. Such is the experience of being birthed when you are alive in the Holy Spirit. And so the Holy Spirit in my life, all those things that Father said, to me they seem like nothing, because the dynamism of the Holy Spirit turned on through the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And you know what? Jesus wanted to show me even further that this was really Catholic. You know what he did? He said, you know, Kathleen, my Magnificat foundress was supposed to go to the colloquium in Rome, and she couldn't go, so she called me out of all the leaders in Magnificat and said, will you go to Rome for the Pentecost events? And you know what? Not only did I go to Rome for the Pentecost events in 1998, the year of the Holy Spirit with Pope John Paul II, but I went to Rome in, I forgot the year now, but with Pope Benedict for the Pentecost experience as well. And you know what? I heard with my proper ear both Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict say to 500,000 people in St. Peter's Square on the day of Pentecost, say, The church needs you to be fully charismatic. The church cannot just be an institutional church. She must breathe with two lungs. And you know what? You know how I said when I walked into this kind of a gathering and I was so afraid? A lot of that was because I didn't have the catechesis. After my first experience of walking into a gathering like this, I bought tracts from Father John Hamsch. And I went home and I really was catechized on what is the work of the Spirit in this grace called baptism of the Spirit. So that's what you're going to get right now, okay? It is really important. I know how important it was to me to take away my fear and to be able to, because I'm a very controlled person, okay? And, you know, for me, even just like raising a hand to praise was a stretch. It was very hard for me to do that. You know, I was always raised to be very prim and proper, and this kind of environment was very foreign to me. It was a huge stretch. It took a great surrender. But you know what? Once I did it, it changed my life forever. And the empowerment of the Holy Spirit will change your life forever. So, we're going to get into some very profound catechesis now, okay? It's important that you understand the history so that when other people ask you, well, what's happened to you? You've come alive, you know, you seem changed, you have this new energy, you have this new love, this dynamism of the Spirit is working on you, and they'll think, well, you know, is this Protestant? Is it Catholic? You will understand a little bit of the history, so we're going to go through that right now, okay? The outline of this particular talk is that we're going to go through the historical background of the Pentecostal experience. Number two, we're going to look at the attitude of the Catholic Church towards the charismatic renewal. We're going to look at baptism of the Holy Spirit. What is it? We're going to look at the charismatic gifts of the Holy Spirit. We're going to look at what to do if one feels a call from the Holy Spirit to lead a fuller life in the Spirit. Now, obviously, each and every one of you had some call for something deeper. That's why you showed up. In the flyer it said, do you feel that God has something more for you? So I know some of you who have been baptized in the Holy Spirit, like our brother Henry, you know, for 30 years. Myself for 20 years. I see the Richmonds walking in here. They've been for 30 years. Some of you for many, many years. Some of you are brand new. But wherever you are, there's always more. And so we're going to look at that, and then we'll have a time for questions and answers, okay? Okay. The historical background of the Pentecostal experience, okay? Let's look at the activity of the Holy Spirit in Jesus' life. First of all, his baptism. All the gospel writers speak of this. And you know, we can look at Mark, we can look at John. The Holy Spirit came upon him after he comes out of the water. So Jesus himself went down to the River Jordan. He went into the water. John the Baptist baptizes him, and then what happens? When he comes out of the water, the Holy Spirit comes upon him. What are the manifestations of charismatic gifts in Jesus' life? Was Jesus, once he was filled with the Holy Spirit, how did he manifest that? Well, Mark tells us the Holy Spirit sent him out toward the desert. Now think about it, my friends, that same Holy Spirit that overshadowed Jesus at the time of his baptism, that same Holy Spirit that overshadowed Mary so that the incarnation could take place, that same Holy Spirit wants to overshadow you in a new and a profound outpouring. Then we look at Luke. So the Holy Spirit sends him out to the desert. What is the desert? It's a place of trial and testing, isn't it? It's a place of dryness. It's a place where you get on your knees and you pray. It was a place where he would fast. So this Holy Spirit that comes upon you, you may be sent out to the desert. After this profound experience, you may go out into the desert and experience some trials and testing. That's because the Lord wants to show you the effects of the Holy Spirit upon you to make you stronger in faith, hope, and love. In Luke, so Jesus is sent out by the Holy Spirit to the desert, And after the desert experience, Jesus returned in the power of the Holy Spirit to Galilee. And we know in Luke and in all the Gospels it talks about he went around Galilee performing miracles and healings and driving out demons. The Holy Spirit of the Lord is upon me, he said in Luke 4. There was glad tidings, liberty, sight, release. All of these things were done in the power of the Holy Spirit.